Today I want to show you how to create a very simple Python coin flip game. What is a typical coin flip game? It is a game of chance, and it will have one of the two possible outcomes. It could either be a head or a tail. And player can bet on either head or tail before the coin flip, and whoever guesses the right side wins. Well, how will our simple coin flip work? In our game, the player is going to be prompted to play, and then she can decide whether yes or no. And then the player will be prompted continuously to play until a no response. Every time a player responds yes, a virtual coin will be flipped and the result is printed. Very simple. Now that we have the requirement, we can go to the next step. So next step will be a quick illustration of how the gameplay goes. First, the machine is going to ask, are you going to flip a coin? And the player can say yes. When the player said yes, the coins flip, and if it's a head, head is printed. If it's a tail, tail is printed. And there will be a while loop that continuously asks the player if they want to play, and if they want to play, the coin will be flipped. The result will be printed until the player answers no. Well, what code do we need? First, we want to create a function that flip a coin and return head or tail. And then we're going to create a game loop that prompts the player for gameplay. In this game loop, we will ask the user for input, we will check the user input, and if it's using the if and else statement. And then we will call the coin flip functions, then print the result of the coin flip function. This is called a quick design. Next, I want to show you this programming flow or program flow. On the top, we have a start state. And then from start, we're going to be prompt whether you want to play. If it's a yes, then we go to the coin flip state, flip the coin, and depends on the coin flip result, we print whether it's a head or a tail. And then go back to the top of the loop and continue until the user answered no. This is called a control flow. For implementation, we should visualize the program as a box. In this box, there's a start and there's an end line. Inside this program, we're going to add a game loop or a while loop in Python. And first, we're going to ask the user for yes or no response. And then we're going to check to see if the user entered yes. If so, we're going to call the coin flip function. The step-by-step implementation is such. First, we're going to create a new workspace in Visual Studio Code. Second, we're going to add a coin flip method. Third, we'll add a game loop. Fourth, we're going to test and debug. This step is to set up the workspace. We will set up the workspace as such. First, we're going to create a new folder. Second, we are going to create a new workspace from that new folder. Third, we're going to add a Python environment to the workspace. Let's create a new folder. So right click, do folder. Let's call a coin flip code. Open folder that we have just created. It's going to open a new window. You could see that it will have a coin flip folder just created. Next, let's create a Python environment. Do a Control-Shift-P. Then Python create environment. Select venv. And then select the Python interpreter. It's going to take a few minutes so it's going to take a few moments for the Python environment to set up. The Python environment has set up. Next, let's add a coin flip function. What are we going to add? We will first add a Python module called random and provide a function signature with the name coin and a keyword def. And a function definition by adding code inside the coin flip function. We will generate a random integer between 0 and 1 and then check and print the result. If the result is 0, then we return head. If the result is 1, then we return tail. Let's go back to the Visual Studio Code projects. Let's create a new file called flip UI. we're going to import the random module. The random module is a module that has a method called random. So we're going to create a method called coined flip. Doesn't take any parameters. And in this, a flip variable, and it's going to call the method random.random, int. This stands for an integer. And we're going to pick a number between 0 and 1, 0 being the head, 1 being the tail. And here you can check to see if flip is 0, then return head. Well, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to create two variables to hold the value. So we're going to do head is a variable, and then I capitalize because it's a constant variable, which its value does not change. And this will make our code easier to read. So wherever you need the value, string value of head and tail, you can use the constant variable. So here, if flip is 0, then we are going to return head, else we'll return tail. And that's the coin flip function. We need to add a game loop so that we can call our coin flip function. To do that, we will create a while loop and then use true as condition. So it will continue to loop. In the while loop, we will prompt the user to play using the input method. Check the user input. If the user enters Y, then we call coin flip. If the user enter N, then we end the game. If it's neither Y or N, we complain. We print it's invalid input error. And it's best to add a space after the column so you can easily see what you have typed when you're entering the input. And then we can say if play again is yes. Oh, here I'll just follow the pattern. If play again is no, then we break. And if not, if it's yes, then we call the function and put the value inside of result. So the function is coin flip. And then we also want to print the result. So again, print, and F stands for formatting. And here it says, you can say the result is, and then it was curly bracket, open curly bracket, and then you put the variable name and close curly bracket. And finally, if the response is neither N or Y, it's invalid, then we can say else. We can complain and say invalid input. You can do please enter Y or N. And then to make it easier to read, you can do a single quotation. And make sure you have matching single quotation and double quotation. And then if you are using double quotation at the outside, so typically when you're testing a script, you will select the script that you want to run, and you click the run Python script, and then you interact with the Python script in the terminal. Right, like what we just did. And then you can test a couple test cases. We test the first test case, we flip the coin for maybe not 10 times, like a couple times, and we stop playing. You can also test entering incorrect user input. Now we can actually run the program. So to run the program, you can do run. Well, of course, first you need to select your Python script, and we already have it selected because we were just adding code. You can select run Python file, and you will see at the bottom in the terminal that's open, it prints do you want to play. So it prints right here from line 14, and here you can say yes, I want to play, and it will print, it will call the coin flip, and then the result is head, and it will go back to the top and ask you if you want to play again. So you just say I want to play, and it will keep flipping. And if you keep entering Y, it's going to keep running the flip the coin. But if you type say T, which is invalid, it's going to complain. It says invalid input, please enter Y or N. So if you try like A is also invalid, it will complain as well. and say you type in Y and it's going to flip. Then if you are done, you can type N. It's going to end or break out of the program. And to make sure that I was not lying, we can use the debugging. So if you use debug, you want to put the breakpoint, add a breakpoint. So say let's add a breakpoint here. So you can see that the program flow would loop through the while loop until you hit a break, until you responded with the end. And give that a go. Debug Python program is going to stop right here. So the fainted yellow line means that the flow is breaking at this line. It hasn't executed this line yet. So you can see that the program didn't prompt you yet. If I use the stepped over, it's going to step over the statement, right? And then it will see, do you want to play? So I can say yes. And it's going to the next line. I could step over and have it go through line by line and play again. If you hover, you put your cursor over, your play again is going to have a value. And right here, I don't know if you can see it, is Y because I enter Y. And because it's Y, it's going to enter line 18. It's going inside line 18 because line 17, this is evaluated to be true. So you could do this and you could evaluate in debug console and it should say true. Okay, that's the trick. You can evaluate any statements where you're in debugging mode. And then you can just run through. This is giving you you can put your cursor over, it's giving you a tail, so it's going to print it's a tail. We'll go back to the terminal because we can't really see. So here it says the result is tail. Right, and it continue to, it's pumping you again, and then you can just say Y, and it's going to break here. So if you remove the breakpoint, you can remove the breakpoint and then have it run through. Now it will not break anymore because there's no breakpoint, and you can just do have it continue, right? And then now it's asking you again. So I'm gonna break out of the program, type N, and it break out of the program. To recap, in this video, we have talked about the concept of a program, the requirements, and then how to design a simple coin flip game, and we proceed to implement. We also look over the program flow, and then we cover the following programming concepts. We talked about variables, we used the while loop, we define at least one function, and then we also use the if and else control statement. We also demonstrate the equal. And there are some operator we didn't demonstrate on this program, but you can also check them out. Like there's not operator, there's equal operator. Then we demonstrate how to run test and debug. If you find this video helpful, please hit like and subscribe.